Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM19 story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. It's Season 9, Episode 1, and today we start a brand new year with our first game of the Premier League season against Liverpool after looking at our transfer window, which our Director of Football has been very busy in. That's right, there's a few ins and outs to talk about as we prepare for our first year in the Champions League. After that amazing third place finish last season, we've been handed a very tough start in the domestic league beforehand. We faced Liverpool before champions Manchester City, a really tough first two games, and the confidence could be low before we get to the likes of Fulham and Bristol City later in August. So 2 games in 4 days that could shape a pretty poor start to the year, but Liverpool have got a few players out injured, as you can see at the top of the screen, so it might well end up being a good time to face them. For us, in addition to the signings our Director of Football's made, he's not been able to do too many big deals due to the restrictions we had on the transfer budget, but he's done some really clever stuff behind the scenes as well, so we'll have a look at those too. But before we look at everything that's been going on at Newcastle over the summer, a massive thank you to everyone for your continued support and following of the series. I really do appreciate it, and if you're new to the channel then subscribe for daily FM content from 2 long-term stories. But let's start with the transfer news. That's the bit everyone's interested in. It's always the best part of a new season, is we've got some interesting news off the pitch. Relating to players that are already here, we nearly upset Mauro Oliveira. Our Director of Football offered him a new contract after he asked, but unfortunately it was a pathetic offer, and Oliveira rightly got in a huff about it, but thankfully he's offered him another one since, and this time he's accepted and is happy. But there are still some big names in and out. The window's just shut and we've got 17 million left and 90,000 on the wage budget, but to be fair to the Director of Football, that doesn't really get you a top Champions League player. Let's look at our history though. We'll start with the outs. We've got a couple on the released players list. The only one that matters is Gylfi Sigurdsson. He's retired and freed up 50 grand a week on the wage bill. In terms of transfers out, Samuel Mulatieri, a bit of a pointless signing last year as a free agent, but we've made a £15 million profit, which shows it was worthwhile in the end. He's gone off to Benfica. We wish him well there. The next one our Director of Football sold from the first team players was Danilo. He had become the 3rd choice holding midfielder. He bought Declan Rice in January and then let Danilo go for 10 million in the summer. And the 3rd and final first teamer he let go, this time to Red Bull Salzburg in Austria, is Jairo Wiedewald. He's the left centre half. 12.25 million he's gone for up front, rising to a potential 15.5. Again was 4th or 5th choice centre half and our backup left back, which is a position he's also not sorted, so that could be a bit tricky for us this year. Lots of players have gone out on loan, as you can probably see as well, including a few of the youngsters you might recognise, but that's our Director of Football's doing. We put the youngsters on the loan list and he's sorted out all of the deals. I have no idea if they'll all get the first team football they need, but we'll see what happens with that next season. In terms of a bit unusually for those of you that have been following this whole series, so far in the lower leagues we've had a lot of years where our Director of Football's been so sleepy and slow and lackadaisical, and then at the last minute come to life with lots of panic deals. This is the first time I think our Director of Football's done everything early. The latest of our 5 signings came in a month ago, the 11th of July, which is brilliant planning from him. He was obviously very clear with what he wanted. There was one left back he made a bid for. The area of the team we really are short an option. It's the only one we haven't filled a gap, and letting Wiedewald go and not replacing him has turned out to be a bit of a problem. But our Director of Football did try, and he has still managed to get in 5 players, the first of which is a second first team keeper, Islam Machilov. He's a 3.5-star Russian with 4.5 star potential. He's got 28 caps for the international team. He's been given a contract as a key player, despite the fact David Raya's still here. Our Director of Football continued to reject offers for him, despite the fact he'd signed Machilov. So that's going to be a bit of a tricky one to keep them both happy, but I think we'll play Machilov in the Champions League games. So certainly a good signing, it's just the contract that's caused a bit of an issue. The next one's a name you probably all recognise from the English Premier League in real life. Joe Gomez, the youngster at Liverpool at the moment. He's come from Huddersfield for £10.5 million, 9.5 of that's up front. He's a 29-year-old with 22 England caps, 3.5 ability, 3.5 potential. He comes in as a natural centre-half, a ball-playing defender, but is also completely natural at full-back. He will be the starting right-back for us this year, Matijou's had injuries and he's our worst player in the first team, so he's going to be replaced by Gomez. Our two centre-halves are still solid from last year. There have been a couple of loan offers for Matijou. They've been accepted, but he's rejected the move. And if he goes, we'll have Martin Chapman as our backup right back. But for now, he's back in the under-18s. So a really good signing that. I'm happy to have an experienced man in there. The next one is Brian Barrett from America. Oh, it's Club America in Mexico. They're a good first division club. He's come for £6 million. Not a bad fee at all for a 3.5-star left winger with 4-star potential. He's 2-footed, a professional personality, and 17 caps for the international team already. He looks a really good player and he could play in either role, covering for Iwobi as an inside forward or playing in his more natural winger role. A really good signing that, and a solid backup option for this year. The next signing again is the one I don't really understand of the window. A bit similar to Malatieri, he let him go and seemed to replace him straight away, despite not needing a third choice option. So he's a number 10, an attacking midfielder, 3-star ability, 3.5 potential. He's a decent player, he's just not as good as Ranzan or Oliveira, and I'm not quite sure where he's going to fit in. But we'll certainly try and get him a few appearances. He was released from Spurs, he's played for Frankfurt and Sampdoria, so plenty of experience across Europe, and a Colombian international who looks a decent player. The last one is the biggest signing of them all, a £20 million player from Benfica, Janderson, a young Brazilian centre-half, a wonder kid with a 20 jumping reach, and he looks absolutely fantastic. A little bit weak on the position inside, everything else is spot on. 3.5-star ability, 4.5 potential, and he could come into the first team once he's settled down. The plan is that we'll stick with Konza and Lascelles in the league for now. Janderson will start in the Champions League and then he'll gradually get time in the Premier League as Lascelles is now reaching 33. So certainly some interesting signings. As we mentioned, we haven't covered left back, but Joe Gomez can play there competently, so he's not a complete disaster. Matijou can move over as well. So let's go and look at the squad as it stands. It's a little bit bigger than last year, and there's another reason for that. Some of those youngsters he signed last summer on under-23 deals, they've got a year of first team football. Some of them have broken into their international teams. One of them's actually switched nations to do so, and as a result, they're now able to get work permits and can play in first team league fixtures. So Maf Luthi, the centre half we've mentioned already, 2.5-star ability, 5-star potential now. He was on loan at Grasshoppers last year, but this year has got a work permit to play in the first team. So he's going to be our 4th choice centre half, which allows Gomez to play at right back. And then Pablo Polanco, the young Colombian central midfielder, he's 2.5-star ability, 4.5 potential. He was on loan at Deportivo La Coruña last year, and he's also got a work permit now, so he's able to play in the first team too. With Danilo leaving the club, he becomes our cheaper option as a 5th choice midfielder, so I can certainly see what our director of football's doing. And then the last one is Mauricio Zia. He was the young striker we signed in January, played one FA Cup tie and then didn't play again. He went on loan to Nuremberg from us in the second half of last year after joining on the 1st of January. He's an absolute wonder kid, has switched alliances to Colombia from Brazil and has already made 2 international appearances. That means he now qualifies for a work permit, and he's going to be our 3rd choice striker this year. So plenty of options all across the pitch. With Bernard being slightly injury prone, the young wonder kid up front, it's good for us to have a 3rd option there, and I feel like bar a 2nd left back, we've got just enough to compete in the Champions League. I was really worried we'd sink down the Premier Division this year as we really tried to cope with European football, but I need to make sure we get a top 3 finish in the European group stage, so at the very worst we fall into the Europa League, which 1 or 2 of you have already predicted we could compete for. So the most likely option for this season is Matijou becomes the backup left back, and then we promote Chapman again from the under-23s. He'll become our 2nd choice right back. Maybe I've put him in the under-18s, but we are going to promote him back to the first team. Don't forget the youngster we had in the youth intake last year, Dave Casey, the 16-year-old centre-half. He's pre-agreed a professional deal. Our director of football sorted that one out too, so hopefully he'll have a part to play in the future. In terms of our plans, we're not hoping to be at Newcastle forever. We'd like to give them a good first year in Europe and make sure we can take them back into it the following year. But most importantly this year, I want to win a trophy. I don't care if it's the League Cup, the FA Cup, Europa League, whatever it is. I really want to win something. The idea of this career is that we pick up trophies as a journeyman, and we've got to win domestic competitions in plenty of countries. If we do start to get those big offers from Inter Milan or one of the clubs in Spain soon, we're going to lose out on our chance to get English competitions, and I really wouldn't like to miss out on that. We've probably got a chance this year with Newcastle. With our stronger squad, I hope we can compete for a domestic cup, and then if we can impress and win a trophy, maybe we'll get an offer from one of the superpowers of world football. So plenty of positive news, but let's get into our first game of the season. We're at home to Liverpool, who are slight favourites for this game remarkably. So let's go and have a look at the lineup. It's not too unfamiliar for this game. We've got most of the first team from last year where possible. Just one or two changes that have been forced by injury or suspension. So we've got David Raya in goal despite him being unhappy. Our director of football kept him despite replacing him. It's a very weird set of events, but Raya's in goal today. A hero last year, so I'm willing to forgive him, and hopefully he'll be happy when the window ends for European clubs. We've got Joe Gomez making his debut at right back. That's just because Matijou's injured, otherwise we would have given it 1 or 2 games. Janderson's making his debut at centre half. That's because Lascelles is just back from injury, hasn't really played in pre-season at all. We've then got Konza and Lewis complete in the back 4, the same left side of the defence as last year. Douglas Luiz in the Segundo Volante role. Gilmore's back from injury after the end of last season. Arzani, Olivier, Raniwobi as the 3 men behind the striker, and then Bernard the wonder kid up front. We've still got the likes of Lavinas, Ranzan and Greenwood on the bench. In fact, all of the bench is familiar, bar Barrett the new signing. It's a very attacking bench as nearly all of our sub-defenders are injured, particularly in wide positions, and as we mentioned on the left, we haven't got much cover. So let's get into the game and see if we can get a result against Liverpool. No tactical changes for this season. Why do we need them when we finished 3rd in the league and not made too many signings? Our director of football's done a good job, evolution rather than revolution in the squad, and we can talk to the lads and hope they'll do well in this one. It's a 4-2-3-1 for Liverpool, so pretty similar formations again. A club we had a decent record against last year, and now they're missing 35-year-old Virgil van Dijk, who was still their key centre-half last year. Obviously Gomez is making his debut for us. He's against his former club in Liverpool, but obviously in this series he's had a couple of clubs since, including Huddersfield where we signed him from. Nearly 10 minutes gone and it remains goalless with no chances seen on camera. It's a throw on the left for Liverpool. Robertson takes it. Gomez intercepts and Oliveira can clear. He's coming over halfway to Iwobi. He charges forward past 2 men, down the left-hand side into the box. He's been fouled. It's a penalty kick. We've missed out on the chance to change the taker. Iwobi's the best man at the club anyway, but unfortunately he missed his last one, so we're a little bit nervy for this. Fingers crossed he can do the job. I think it might have been the last day of last season, was it? He's missed again. Alex Iwobi, the best penalty taker at the club, only rated 12, and you can see why there. I don't know why he's rated 12 as he's missed 2 in a row, and Bernard's missed a sitter there and the rebound's cleared away. We've missed a golden chance to take the lead, and I hope that doesn't dent our confidence, but we're completely on top. Oliveira wins the ball back. Bernard's in on the left channel. What a finish that is by Bernard. Beast the man, and it's the same combination as last year. Mauro Oliveira sets it up. Brilliant play from him, and Bernard with a cool finish as he continues his development. Back from injury at the end of last year, and he looks a fantastic player. The voice is starting to go again as Chiesa puts Brewster in. Brilliant save, Raya. We've said that a number of times since we've been at Newcastle. Bernard's in behind. We've come back from a highlight as the defenders missed the challenge. What a goal that is by Bernard. What a strange time to come back. And what a missed header by the Liverpool defence. We lead 2-0 and Bernard has started the season on fire. It's Gomez with a throw on the right-hand side. He finds Arzani. Gilmore to Luiz. We look in complete control here against a side that were right behind us last season. This is fantastic stuff, and we really look like a good side. Arzani with a free kick, just wide of the post. I thought he'd got a third there. We could have wrapped the game up in the first half. We must be the early kick-off because no one else is playing. Konza heads a corner away, and Liverpool's rare attack is halted. Bernard on the counter-attack. We've got a 3-on-3 now. There's Newcastle players surging forward. Oliveira's in the middle and Bernard returns the favour, delivers to the front post and the number 10 gets in behind. What a finish, what a performance, and the game's nearly over at the break. 3-0 and a fantastic start to the season. There it is, half-time then, and the only thing that stopped it being 4-0 is a missed penalty. We've dominated the game, and yet again, the number 10 and the striker combine brilliantly. Doesn't matter whether it's Oliveira or Ranzan, or Bernard or Greenwood, all of them combine brilliantly, and on this occasion, all 3 goals have come via those 2 men. Gilmour with the kick-off to Konza. Gilmour again, he's fouled by Brewster, and that's a challenge which shows frustration. No yellow card, but we're happy to see them perform in that way. Gilmour with a free kick on the right edge of the box. His shot's blocked out for a throw. I'm not quite sure why we saw that, but nevertheless we're still very happy. We've got a chance to bring on a debutant at the hour mark, as well as 1 or 2 of the youngsters, and we couldn't be much more delighted with the way we're playing. 25 minutes to go, we'll see out this highlight and then make some changes. Douglas Luiz on the edge to Gilmour, could have made it even easier, but it's blocked on its way through, and Alisson Becker hoofs it away. We're back with a Robertson throw for Liverpool almost immediately, and he's coming forward down the left hand side. He finds Sol, now Correa. He's bringing it forward into the centre circle. Fabinho back to Amari, the centre half. Long ball over the top for Brewster, but Janderson, the youngster, does well. His rating of 8 at the back there. A brilliant debut for him so far, and Konza deals with the next ball forward. Arzani into Gilmour. He's got men out on the left-hand side, waits for the run of Iwobi and finds him. He's got an underlap from Lewis, into the box to Bernard, and it deflects behind for a corner as he tried to get his hat-trick. Let's make some changes then. Brian Barrett can make his debut for Iwobi. He's going to come on and go into his preferred winger role, or in fact he's going to stay as an inside forward as Jamal Lewis is so threatening on the overlap. We're going to bring Ranzan on for Arzani on the right. I know it's not a straight swap, but Ranzan's the wonder kid left at the club, and we've got to try and bring him on as an advanced playmaker. He won't be any different in that role. In fact, we're not going to do that at all. Let's get Arzani back on there. Gilmour's going to come off for Ranzan. There's indecisiveness from the head coach. A deep line playmaker on support. Him or Oliveira, one of them's got to be able to do it. Oliveira can. He'll go into central midfield. Ranzan as the number 10, and let's get back into it and see if we can get a 4th. 2 changes confirmed, a corner to come. Newcastle fans looking forward to a Champions League draw that they're involved in a few weeks' time, which by the way will be part of the next episode. Konza has a shot block, Luiz puts one wide. I haven't even got time to give you information as there's so many attacking highlights for us. We are playing absolutely brilliantly and this side continues to amaze me. I know they're a very good side now as Barrett charges through everyone. Luiz forces a brilliant save from Alisson in the Liverpool goal and it's just relentless pressure against a really good Liverpool side. Bernard loses out at the back post. We'll try again to give you some information. We've got a really good side. I still don't think we've got the 3rd best squad in the Premier League. So how we did it last season I don't know. And how we're playing so well this year is even more of a surprise. They brought on Vinicius Jr. on the left wing. A player that came on and caused all sorts of chaos against us last year. You'll remember he came on in that FA Cup tie. Scored one, nearly set one up as well. Chiesa's got through on the right and Raya saves. And we're just starting to get a bit sloppy at the back now. So Luiz is going to come off for Declan Rice just for a fresh pair of legs in that Segundo Volante role. And in fact, we're going to be a bit more cautious here and drop him as an anchor man on defend. With a natural attacking midfielder playing in the centre now, it's only right we get an extra man back just to make sure we've got 5 in position when we're defending. It's Salah with a free kick on the left. Correa puts it in but he's offside. Everything's going our way today, but the last 5 minutes have concerned me a bit, so we're going to tell the lads to concentrate. It's a throw on the right for Joe Gomez. He must be happy with his debut so far. Rice wins it back for Arzani. Oliveira, Arzani again. We're just keeping the ball brilliantly and I'm starting to get a great affinity to some of these lads. Arzani and Oliveira just keeping it between them, not letting anyone else have a touch of the ball until Declan Rice finally gets it now. You can see why our director of football's been making some of these signings. They're really coming to fruition as Ranzan puts Barrett in, but it's another good save by Alisson. We had a little bit of a glitch there for the Robertson sub, but we're not going to complain. There's nothing to complain about today. Gomez gets the short free kick to Arzani. He finds Oliveira. We're back on top, having calmed down in possession. Barrett going for a shot. He wants a debut goal, but it's deflected away for a throw on the right. 5 minutes to go, we still lead by 3 and Liverpool don't look a threat at all. Arzani's got the ball at the back. They've changed to a very weird formation, Liverpool, with 7 men in the back 2 rows, 3 in defence, 2 wing backs and 2 holding midfielders, and they've just left the 3 up front, including Brewster who's not had the best of games. I couldn't be much more happy and the fact they've left Julian Brandt on the bench is rather pleasing for me as well. It's a throw on the left for Lewis. We've got a last chance to get a 4th, Barrett's last chance to get a debut goal and he does. plus. What a finish that is. Cutting in on his right foot. He's definitely going to be an inside forward. And what a fantastic finish that is. A debut goal for the young American winger. I am so delighted with this. I'm sure you can probably tell. But a 4-0 win on the opening day of the season against Liverpool. And if that's an indicator for who's going to be challenging for the top 4, I'm really looking forward to the rest of this year. We'll talk to the lads and tell them how pleased we are. Obviously, we've got a tougher test to come in 4 days as we face the current champions Manchester City. We couldn't be much more pleased, and we're just going to admire the media telling us how brilliant we were. We're a force to be reckoned with. That's exactly how I'd describe it, actually. We've shown how good we are. Barrett made his debut and scored a brilliant goal. Bernard got a brace. Oliveira was brilliant. Everything was perfect. What a performance. If only we could learn how to start taking penalties, we'd be able to win some games by 5. I'm going to find someone and teach them how to be a penalty taker. We're just going to work them on it in training, so we've got a specialist at the club. Let's go and look at the Premier League. The one thing we didn't do pre-game was look at where we're expected to finish. I'm not quite sure where it is. 8th place, so that sort of proves what I've said. We've not got one of the best 3 squads in the league. We're just doing really well. Liverpool were the 3rd favourites. Obviously City are the favourites, so that shows it will be a tougher test in midweek, but a fantastic result against the 3rd favourites and surely shows we can compete for the Champions League again. We've still got a 3-star reputation. We're going to go and ask for another coaching badge in a minute. Hopefully that will be allowed, and apparently I've got a jovial personality. I'm not quite sure where that's come from. Let's go and see the schedule for when we'll next be back. We're not going to show the next game against City as it's a little bit too close, but what we are going to do is come back for the Champions League draw at the end of August. We're going to show you who we get in the group stages, and then depending on who the first game is, we're either going to show you the Tottenham game after the international break or the Champions League game that follows it. So one of those games will be in the next episode, which will start with the Champions League draw, the first time we'll be involved in European competition since we started this series 9 seasons ago. So I hope you'll join me again for that one. If you did enjoy this episode, please put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the work our director of football's done. I think he's been really clever this window. Sensible evolution of the squad, and if he'd got the left back he was chasing near the end of the window, it would have been the perfect summer for him. But either way, we've got a squad that can compete, and as long as Lewis doesn't get a long-term injury, I think we'll be absolutely fine all year. As always, for the first episode of a season, let me know where you think we're going to finish. Do you think we're going to be at Newcastle at the end of the year? And do you think we're going to win a trophy? If you do think we can get one this season, which one do you think it'll be? How many of you will be right? We'll check at the end of the season to find out. Subscribe to the channel for daily FM19 content from my 2 long-term stories, this one The Head Coach, and our One Club series with Torquay United, where we tried to take them from the lowest playable league to the top of English and European football. We're well into season 9 with that one, so if you haven't seen any of that series yet, then pop over and check it out. There's a link in the eye above to the series playlist. But a massive thanks for watching and your continued support with the series as always. I really do appreciate it, and we'll see you next time for our first ever European draw.